blessed good morning, and welcome to our devotions for today, Wednesday. Trust that you would have had a peaceful night and that you are ready for this new day with all of the opportunities to be of service in the world and with all the possibility of allowing grace to continue to flow in your life. So as we come together this day, we do so with hearts filled with gratitude as we bring our attention over to our time for meditation and prayer. And so we come into that space as we open ourselves up before God, coming into our hearts with a sense of gratitude and love. Feeling that stillness. Feeling within ourselves the energy of our life. That which gives us the ability to move, to be here, to be present. Just settle yourself in that space, that openness. And just allow. Be still and know that I am God. Just be still. And feel that divine presence within you. And so we turn now to our reading for today as we turn to Matthew's Gospel. And Jesus called his disciples to him and said, I have compassion for the crowd, because they've been with me now for 3 days and have nothing to eat. And I do not want to send them away hungry, for they might faint on the way. The disciples said to him, Where are we to get enough bread in the desert to feed so great a crowd? Jesus asked them, How many loaves have you? They said, 7 and a few small fish. Then ordering the crowd to sit down on the ground, he took the 7 loaves and the fish. And after giving thanks, he broke them and gave them to the disciples. And the disciples gave them to the crowds. And all of them ate and were filled. And they took up the broken pieces left over, 7 baskets full. Those who had eaten were 4,000 men, besides women and children. once more, and we are continuing our theme where we are seeking to allow grace to flow, not hindering, but just allowing. We don't really think about it, but there are so many ways that we hinder God's grace in our lives. And I want us to really give some thought to this during the course of this week. How do I hinder God's grace? How do I, by my everyday life, in some way or another, present obstacles which block the grace? Sharing the reading this morning, the feeding of another group of persons, there's a concern for the people who have been with Jesus for 3 days. And you kind of get the sense that for 3 days, these persons were just flowing in that space. I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity to attend a retreat or to follow a spiritual teacher and to go and spend a day or a couple of days in an ashram or a retreat center and just be immersed. It's a really wonderful experience. And at times you wonder if this is real, because it can be so beautiful and so freeing. And you oftentimes forget about the rest of the world. And then at the end of it, you dread having to leave. Which is so funny, because oftentimes for many persons there's this challenge: how am I going to find the time? There's so many things I have to do. How am I going to be able to find the time to attend this quiet time or this retreat when I have so many things to do? And if I go away and I come back, they can still be there for me to do. And it's a struggle to go, but then you go and you get lost in it all. And you can feel the flow. You can feel the grace. That's the image I have of this reading here for this morning. These people were lost in that grace as Jesus taught and healed and ministered. And now it was coming to an end and they had to go back to the real world. And there was a sense in which there might have been a kind of a disconnect, a coming down from the mountain, where all of a sudden the needs of life become apparent again. So Jesus, being aware of this, is concerned about them walking away and being hungry. So he feeds them with what he has. And he collects the remains to ensure that nothing is lost. There's an abundance that is there for us. And those times when we can be like those folks, going away and immersing ourselves into some period of silence or stillness or teaching, there's a sense in which we need to gradually try to bring that experience into our everyday lives. For these people, they had come to see Jesus and they had become immersed in this energy. But Jesus lived moment by moment in this energy. It wasn't something he created for the moment. It was just how he was. It was just his way of existing. And so the invitation really isn't just to come and hang out for a few days and then leave. The invitation really is, follow me. Learn to live like this. Learn to live immersed in the divine grace. Learn to live swimming in that beautiful flow of divine energy, love, peace. Make it who you are. Not just now and again, but more and more seek to introduce it to different aspects of your life. On this Wednesday, as we've come through the beginning of the week, talking about clearing those pipelines that the grace may flow. We now want to look towards the remainder of this week and talk about that grace. Talk about how that grace flows and what it feels like as it flows. How we can be mesmerized by this beautiful flow. And it is not out of this world. It is not pie in the sky. It's a reality. When we line ourselves up, when we allow that grace to flow, when we clear those feeding lines to our lives, it flows. It transforms us and we become different. We become ourselves, our true selves, which is the intention. We're not intended to live under the stress and turmoil that we find ourselves. We intended to be the image of God made manifest in the world. And so we need to do that, to make God's image manifest in our world. The clearing of the pipelines is just a preparation. That's just ensuring that everything is in place. But the real work comes when the flow begins. When the flow maxes out and we are living off that flow. We are delivering it and receiving it at the same time. That's who we are called to be. How do we get there? We get there by being constantly aware of who I am. I am the living manifestation of the one who created me. I am the way that Creator shows up in the world. This is who we are. Let's work at this. Keep those lines clear. And when they're clear, keep them open at both ends. For what we receive, we must give without hindrance. No need to hoard. No need to hold back. How many loaves do you have? 7. And a few fish. Bring them. Don't hold them back. Bring them and see the glory of God. What do you have? What do you have in your life? Bring it. and see what God does with it. See what that grace flowing over it does with it. Bring it. Offer it. Let it go. There's so much to receive when you let it go. So let it go. That little that you think you have, let it go. See what God does with it. Trust. Trust that God has a purpose. Trust that God has a plan for you. Trust that God has for you in this very moment a divine path. And walk that path with confidence and with love. Just filled with the grace of God. You can do it. We all can. If we would commit ourselves to clearing the lines and allowing the grace to flow in and out, that our world may be transformed into what God knows it to be.